Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How is everybody doing, by the way? I hope you all had a very nice weekend and so far a very smooth and really nice week. Because honestly, I know... Oh, wow, already off to a nice start. Thank you, TK, for being our new fish to go and start things off with this episode. And as I was saying, so far I've been doing pretty nicely. So far I've been finding a nice balance between self-care and working, and so far it has been working out. But one thing I will say, it's actually quite surprising for me that I would go and do an episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, because for a while after the last episode, it seemed like things were pretty dry in terms of animation news and entertainment news, and I was thinking, okay, well, I guess we might end up skipping this week, but lo and behold, right near the end of it, suddenly just a tidal wave of so many animation news has occurred by the end of that week and even during the weekend, which results in one heck of an episode. In fact, this is going to be one of the biggest episodes of the year in terms of animation news. Well, maybe not necessarily the biggest, I mean like biggest quantity-wise, because there's going to be a whole bunch of announcements and some crazy news that we shall be discussing about, and I believe this will result in one wild episode. So I hope you are all ready for this. And speaking of which, by the way, now it is time that I will pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? All right, let's see now. Are people actually ready? Oh, okay. I see people are prepared. That's great to see. All right, people are all set. People are all prepared. That is wonderful. But then, anyways, I will say, though, even if you are ready, I don't know if you're ready for this episode, but I guess we will find out as we shall go and get things started. And before we really get into the madness, we shall begin by watching a couple of trailers. And the first one that we are going to be looking into will be based on one of last year's big animated movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It was a movie that really made a splash, and while there have been a bit of controversy within the TMNT community regarding how they feel about this new rebooted version, so far, most people felt like it was an absolute blast. Many people thought that it was just absolutely fantastic, especially with the crazy animation and with the new version of the Turtles themselves that actually act like teenagers. So safe to say that Mutant Mayhem was a big hit. So much so that not only are we going to be getting a sequel in 2026, but also later this summer, the Turtles are going to be coming in with a special little encore. So with that said, let's go and begin with our first story as we will take a look at the upcoming Paramount Plus animated series, Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
All right, boys. Forgot about the party. I don't have my costume.
Well, technically your whole, thing is a costume.
There we go. For a second, I thought, okay, I guess we're done with the trailer. But no, there was, an extra little clip I almost forgot about. But yes, folks, that was indeed Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, inspired by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, to which the series will be coming out exclusively on Paramount Plus on August 9th. And apparently, I don't know if this is going to be a series that they're going to plan on continuing and make more episodes of. But from the sounds of it, chances are maybe it's just going to be this one series with that one season with just 12 episodes. But I guess we will have to wait and see with how this goes. And I'm not gonna lie, I was honestly very impressed when I saw this trailer in particular. But before I go into my thoughts on that, I'll just give you a quick little recap on my thoughts on Mutant Mayhem. I did do a review of that film last year, but in case you guys might have either forgotten or haven't even seen that review, I'll say that I did like it. But for me, though, I'm not as, like, really enthusiastic, or I'm just, like, I'm not, like, such a fanatic about it, thinking that, oh, Mutant Mayhem is one of the best animated films of that particular year. There are some things that I personally find that there are a few flaws. Like, mainly, I find that the story plays it a little bit too safe, and I feel like that's a bit of a detriment to this movie in particular, especially with the fact that this is supposed to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, and I feel like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles should be anything but safe. So watching them going into this typical kid-friendly storyline about how these turtles want to be viewed as, like, regular people, want to blend in with the crowd and stuff like that. You know, it's just that kind of plot line. I feel like, okay, I feel like we've already gotten it with Luca, and that Luca has already done it better, so that was a bit of a letdown to see. But still, though, whatever the movie did right, it did so phenomenally. And on those positives, yeah, I get why there are people out there who love this movie, especially with that crazy animation, taking that underground comic style and adapting it into CG, where it's kind of Spider-Verse-like, but it does manage to achieve its own look that actually works out very well. The action scenes are absolutely awesome, especially with the combination of the turtles and even with the mutants also showing off their capabilities. And the characters, I find that they are some of the best versions of the franchise, especially when you got the turtles that, like I said before, that I feel like for the first time, they feel like legitimate teenagers instead of just a bunch of goofballs that are still training to learn how to be martial arts masters. So you got that part there, and even some of the other characters I find to be pretty awesome as well. Like, I even enjoyed this version of April O'Neil. So overall, I feel like, while maybe not, well, I wouldn't consider it to be the best animated movie of 2023, but still it is a solid one where when it gets something right, it does so really awesomely. And that's why I am definitely hyped up for that sequel, because that is an opportunity for them to go and fix some of the errors that if they could go and apply a better story onto the things that already work out, then they might actually find something that would not only exceed from the first film, but can truly make something amazing. Possibly the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that we would have so far. But again, that's not going to be until now. Like, we're going to have to wait for quite a bit, for a few more years until we reach that point. But for now, what we do get is Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm not gonna lie, I personally feel like they managed to work this out pretty well. Like I said before, I was very much impressed from what we have seen with this trailer. Especially one thing that I was pleasantly surprised is actually in regards to the animation. This actually feels a little bit like a combination between what we got with Mutant Mayhem, but with, I see we got a new fish over here. Thank you, Kahlua. But anyways, back to what I was saying before. I feel like the animation style that we got here is like a combination between Mutant Mayhem and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it does have that stylized 2D look, but they were able to go and adapt what was done well with Mutant Mayhem and have this really nice combination. And even in the trailer, like, we do see some nice action scenes and a lot of great moments where they would go and actually take advantage of the medium and its style as well and present it in a really cool 2D way. So, and even with the character designs, like they already fit so well with what we have gotten. Again, adapting this comic book like feel, or this underground comic where like it can be a little bit messy, but brought to life in a way that is actually unique and really cool. Like you do get like a bunch of these intricate designs that actually work out very nicely, capturing its own look that in a way it's like it feels fresh, but at the same time stays true to the spirit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and its comic book origins. So already with the animation, they got it right. And again, like you see a lot of moments here where the animation is as epic, and even some great cinematography that reminds me of some of the action scenes that you would get in Rise. Because even though I haven't watched the series in its entirety, I have seen some clips of it, and there are some action scenes that, oh my god, they can be jaw-dropping. And I feel like with some of the stuff that they're trying to do here might actually be on par with what we have gotten there so far. And also, one thing that is great about this is that it is giving us more of the signature shenanigans that we have seen in, or the teenage shenanigans that we have seen in Mutant Mayhem, that we still get the same Teenage Turtles that we got from that movie, and it does include some cute little hijinks. Like, and I'll even say, by the way, that there are some parts here that I do feel like, you know, they made me laugh. There are some nice parts, like, for example, like when they introduced Michelangelo over here.
Do again? Bang! I bring a certain je ne sais quoi. Party over here.
Like, that was cute. Or another moment is that when they see that hologram of like some strange mutant, and then like the brothers have to figure out like who's gonna go and take care of it. Like this part here.
Someone should go check it out. Not it. What?
Like, the comedic timing of that, I gotta say, is actually really good. So already it feels like the strong elements, like the factors that people love about Mutant Mayhem, they are bringing that back with Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or at least that seems to be what they are promising us with this trailer. But overall, I will say that, honestly, I'm very much impressed about it. I actually do like with what I am seeing, and I think this is a very solid trailer with what they are presenting us, especially when they want to show this as a series based on Mutant Mayhem, especially capturing the elements that people love from the first film and some of the best parts of Mutant Mayhem, including the characters themselves with the turtles, and even with the action, and especially with the animation. They already got a very solid, they already got these solid components that they could go and sell, and that maybe we could actually have a good story that would be attached to this, that maybe we will go see more of Mutant Mayhem or more of these versions of the Turtles, but have this updated story, which according to this, apparently the narrative is that now all the Turtles have been completely split up and they have to find a way to get together to stop this one villain that wants to go and eliminate the Turtles. So how the story itself is going to be, that honestly I don't know. That would require watching the show in itself to know how that is going to be. So who knows? But also at the same time, it is worth noting, speaking of that ending, one thing that we will also see is going to be in regards to the relationship between Leonardo and April O'Neil, to see if maybe there could actually be like an update to the possible romance that they have together. Because keep in mind, in Mutant Mayhem, they have established that, at least with Leonardo, he does have a bit of a crush on April O'Neil, and that maybe there could be a thing going on together. I don't know, but at least we will be having updates on that, and yes, we will be having more of April O'Neil in this. So Overall, though, I will say definitely a solid-looking series, and if you are a fan of Mutant Mayhem, chances are you'll probably enjoy this as well. And if you are hyped up for Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then keep in mind that the series will be coming out later this summer on August 9th, exclusively on Paramount+. Alright, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about this trailer of the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Did you guys enjoy that trailer? Do you think you're gonna go and watch it? Are you excited for it? Or are you a little bit hesitant about this? But especially, if you are a fan of Mutant Mayhem, I would love to know your thoughts on it. And also, for you people watching on Twitch, I'm just going to go and write down a poll for you all. And let's see if this could actually go and work out. Now, I would like to ask, will you be watching Tales of the TMNT? So I'll just put down yes, and then I'll put down no, and we will see the results a little later. All right, so let's see what we got over here. Mutant Mayhem is amazing with its animation and action. And now seeing them back with Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's still fantastic. The animation is awesome, the action scenes are great, and the characters are still as charming and funny as in the movie. It'll be a while until we get the sequel, so for the series, the series will serve as an excellent appetizer before the main course. It'll be a lot of fun when it comes out in August, so time to turtle up. All right, so we got some excitement going on over there. Let's see. As someone who really enjoyed Mutant Mayhem and thinks it's the best TMNT movie in recent years, this looks like a ton of fun. The animation looks really nice, the action scenes are a lot of fun, I'm glad the original cast is coming back, and I like the idea of separating the turtles to show them individually. So overall, I'm excited for this, and it's worth noting that this show is going to have a 2-season run and a bridge gap between Mutant Mayhem and the sequel. Okay, thank you so much for clarifying on this. That is great to actually hear. Okay, so there will be 2 seasons, and hopefully they will spread this a bit so that, you know, like, we will get more of that Mutant Mayhem taste before that sequel does come out, because again, it's going to be a little bit of a while. I believe it's going to be coming out on October of 2026. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, it's still a bit of a long time and a bit of a long wait. So in the meantime, we will have these tales in order to satisfy our turtle needs before that sequel comes. All right, let's see what we got here. I am sold on this. The animation style, the action, the voice work, it all looks like it expands upon the strengths of the movie and allows for individual stories that allow each of the Turtle brothers their own chance in the spotlight. On a side note, Matt, I'm excited for your upcoming review of the Powerpuff Girls movie, since that's one movie I've always been curious to hear your thoughts on. Yes, that will be coming soon, don't you worry. Alright, so we already got some excitement, and already you guys seem to notice that there is some potential with that story, that now we do get to have a highlight on not just the individual turtles, but this version of the individual turtles, so that we can have some time to really get to know them. So definitely great on that. Anyways, Mutant Mayhem was easily the best TMNT movie in a while, and this really lives up to the hype. Not only is the animation top-notch, but the humor is still as funny as what the film gave us, and I like that it focuses on the turtles individually. That's something you don't get in a lot of the TMNT work, so I'm gonna give this a watch. But my one question is, what are they going to do with Splinter? He was probably my favorite Mutant Mayhem character. Alright, before I get into that, I just want to go and note that so far, not all of you, but most of you are saying that you will be watching Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in which 70% of you said that you will indeed be watching. Very interesting. And as for Splinter, I can imagine maybe we will have some moments with him. I know that in the trailer, he definitely is missing in action, and, well, I mean, it is pretty questionable if they would bring back Jackie Chan for this series, But still, I'm sure there's going to be some moments where we will see Master Splinter coming back. It's hard to imagine something from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles without Splinter coming in at some point. I mean, they're going to have 12 episodes, at least for this season in particular, so Splinter's going to be coming in. Rather if he's going to have like a significant role or maybe just like a cameo, that we will have to wait and see. All right, what else do we have here? What other comments? I'll say I am optimistic about it. When I saw the movie, while I agree that the plot kind of sucks, I'm not exaggerating to know this is possibly the greatest versions of the Turtles yet. One that actually gets the concept right for once, since the original are like college boys than teens, which is why I wasn't a fan. If the series could be capable of reaching the quality of the film, maybe a little more better, then I'm all in for it. All right, awesome. Anyways, let's see what we got here. This new series looks promising and interesting so far. The 2D animation style looks exciting. The voice cast remains the same as the boys, and Ayo Edebiri coming back to reprise their roles, whom the latter plays April O'Neil, by the way. The action scenes look fun, the humor looks funny, and the story might be interesting, so I'll definitely watch this when it comes out. Also, this new series will be 2 seasons only before the sequel comes out, just to let you know. All right, fair enough. So I did get the memo. I did get the memo. Don't you worry. Let's see what we got here. I am glad that they brought back the original cast. It'll be disappointing if Jackie Chan doesn't reprise his role. I hope Seth Rogen and John Cena reprise their roles as well. Also, it's a sequel to the movie, so it's got potential. Also, I'm looking forward to the next movie when the Shredder makes an introduction. One last thing, I love April's character and design. People still bash her design, but it's not as bad as they claim it is. Cowabunga, dude. Yeah, honestly, exactly. I'm on the side that this version of April, I'm not gonna lie, she's not that bad. Like, when you do see her, it's like, she's got her own look, and I mean, let's say in the context, if she is like 18 and over or 21 and over, yeah, honestly, she's fine. Like, yeah, I know, like, it's no like April O'Neil like we got in the 1980s Saturday morning cartoon, but she's got like this attractive look that works in her own way. It's like a different, it's like a different flavor of hotness, where you got like the Saturday morning 1980s April O'Neil, that is hot, and even this April O'Neil, I'll say that is hot as well. So just want to go and mention that. So yes, I am on the side that, yeah, I do like this April O'Neil as well, both with her personality and her design. It really does work in her own way. So just want to go and quickly mention that. All right, I'll read one more comment before we go and move on to our first break and the next story. So let me just go and quickly read here. I'll be frank, not that interested to see this TMNT series. It looks fine as is, but haven't we had enough TMNT content already in the past few years? I would like to rewatch TMNT vs. Batman though, but I do wish I could see the Turtles being trained with Master Roshi from Dragon Ball, though that would imply very mature jokes. Also, I'm not a Paramount Plus subscriber, already have enough content with Netflix and Disney Plus. Alright, that's fair enough. But still, though, I could already tell that those who did enjoy Mutant Mayhem, there's already a lot of hype that is going on with Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And once again, if you are excited for the series, then keep in mind it will be coming out exclusively on Paramount Plus on August 9th. And we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, yes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are weird, but we are used to that kind of weirdness. But for the next trailer that we have coming up, yeah, even though we've already gotten some of that in particular, we're still not used to the weirdness that this has to offer. So stay tuned. And we are back. And for our next story, we're going to be looking into another trailer. But this one, however, is raising a lot of eyebrows. Now, oh, excuse me, folks. Keep in mind that technically we have seen these types of movies before. And in terms of the concept in itself, yeah, we already know how it is, we've already gotten some of it, and we've already gotten some great movies with it. But never have we seen a movie done like this before. It's not necessarily that it is a Lego movie that it's weird, but it's the fact that this type of movie is a Lego movie. And the results of it, well, let's just say we're going to see how it goes when we're going to be checking out our next trailer, as we will watch the upcoming animated biopic, Piece by Piece.
Quiet on the set.
So that is, do we have any more? Okay, no. Okay, okay, we don't have any. So that is Piece by Piece, the animated biopic that tells the life of Pharrell Williams, to which it will be coming out in theaters on October 11th. Now, even though we are used to Lego movies, and, you know, we've already seen a whole bunch of them in the last decade. You know, we got the original Lego movie, and then there was the Lego Batman movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, and then the second Lego movie, the Lego Movie 2, the second part. And most of them, if not some of them, they were actually very, very good. And I'm sure that we all have our favorite Lego movie out there. A lot of people would say the first Lego movie, considering how it was considered one of the revolutionary animated features of the last decade. And then there is also the Lego Batman movie, which I would consider to be one of my personal favorite Lego movie, and also one of the more underrated animated movies of the last decade. But then, of course, you probably have heard about the story in which, after the failure of the second Lego movie, that's when Lego decided to part ways with Warner Brothers and decided to make a new deal with Universal, where they would go and make new Lego movies there. And it looks like the first one that they are going to do is with this one, with Piece by Piece, which is, oddly enough, a biography of Pharrell Williams. And chances are, I mean, you're an animation fan. Of course, you know Pharrell Williams. If you have seen an Illumination movie, then you have heard of a Pharrell Williams song. Of course, one of his most popular hits is the song Happy, which was actually a song that was made for Despicable Me 2. And not to mention many of the other songs and collaborations that he has done with Illumination and so on and so forth. And this is not even to mention many of the other songs that he has done outside of Illumination. Safe to say, yeah, I do agree with the statement that Pharrell is definitely a very talented music artist, and even revolutionary in himself. But when the discussion about this movie would come up, especially after this trailer was released, everybody just seemed to be so confused. Because, of course, as we know, right now, biopics of musicians, they are all the range. Especially after the big success of Bohemian Rhapsody, which was a quick biopic of Queen and Freddie Mercury, suddenly there's been a whole bunch of others that try to come in and capitalize on that success. And even to this day, we have been seeing more and more of them, including this year, we've gotten the biopic of Bob Marley and Amy Winehouse. Is it Amy Winehouse? Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I do believe so. And some people are even bringing in some other examples, we got Elvis, and then there was Rocket Man, and even coming soon, we're going to be having a Michael Jackson biopic, and even a whole cinematic universe on the Beatles. Amy Winehouse. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you so much for correcting me on that. So, of course, we're getting a whole bunch of them, so not a huge surprise that Pharrell Williams is also going to be getting one as well. But to its credit, I will say this is definitely a unique approach where instead of doing the same usual shtick that we have seen time and time again with all these other musical biopics, this one, however, decided to go and take a unique step by being all about Legos, that now we got we have Pharrell Williams, and we even have some other artists as well. Like we got freaking Snoop Dogg attached to it. In fact, even during the credits, like we see other people as well. Like we got Lego versions of the director. We got Morgan Neville, and then suddenly we got Lego Gwen Stefani, Lego Kendrick Lamar. So I guess he beat out Drake in order to get that part. Then we got Lego Timbaland, Lego Justin Timberlake, Lego Busta Rhymes, Lego Jay-Z, and of course, Lego Snoop Dogg. Because nowadays, it's kind of hard to not have an animated feature without an appearance from Snoop Dogg. In fact, like, we just got an animated Snoop Dogg appearance with the Garfield movie. So, of course, we're gonna have a Lego Snoop Dogg for this Lego movie in particular. But also, I just gotta say that with this one, I do, one thing that I will say is actually a very positive note is actually the animation. I feel like so far, this actually did a very good job in capturing what is it that made the animation of the Lego movie so revolutionary. And this one actually does do, it actually did great in capturing that, where like literally everything that we see is made out of Legos. So already this is a great looking feature, and kind of going back to that essence and the spirit of that original Lego movie, kind of like creating its own genre. So already it looks fantastic. I feel like they did great so far with what we are seeing. And yeah, so like like we're getting once again a brand new Lego movie, and it does stay true. Like they're not going to do any cheap tricks like what we have seen in some of the other Lego movies, where some of the special effects might not be made out of Legos or whatever. But so far from the looks of it, it looks like everything is purely like 100% made out of Legos. Even the scene where we see Kendrick Lamar with his baby, like you look at the water, even the water is all made out of Legos, and even like the little splashes that he would go and do, it's just like a bunch of little Lego pieces that are just like scattered everywhere. So like you got that attention to detail in terms of how they would go and make that Lego. So from there, I do find that, all right, they did actually a pretty nice job with it. So that is nice. But there is one thing that I do have to say is a bit of a concern. And this is one thing that I feel like maybe this might be something that would either make or break this feature. And that is in regards to the voice acting. Because, honestly, I'll say, not Kendrick Lamar, but Pharrell Williams' music, I think it is awesome. I think they're very catchy. They're very memorable. They're fantastic. And especially with Pharrell Williams, he's, like I said before, he's very talented with the way that he would go and like cross different genres of music, and he can go and put in his own take on it. I feel like that's actually, I feel like he's definitely amazing as a musician and as a music artist. But as an actor, on the other hand, I don't think that's part of his strong suits. In fact, you probably do remember when he tried to do a little bit of his own acting chops with 2018's The Grinch, when he tried to be the narrator. And I'm not gonna lie, I do agree that it is one of the weaker points of that feature, and that Pharrell Williams' voice as a Grinch narrator, it just feels very out of place. So yeah, honestly, he's better when he sings more so than he would act. And even in this trailer here, I honestly feel like from the acting in general, I don't know, it just feels very dull. I don't know, like maybe there is, maybe there might be a way that Pharrell Williams might actually approach this differently, where he wouldn't necessarily act, but I don't know. For me, it's like, with the acting here, it's just, I don't know. Like, let's just go and take a listen, like, right, like even in the clip at the beginning, like, right over here.
Hey, Pharrell.
Hey, how you doing, man?
You know what'd be cool is if we told my story with Lego pieces.
Seriously?
Yes.
Lego.
Just be open.
I don't know. Like, that part there, it's just like, oh, I didn't even show you. Oh, sorry about that, folks. But, like, you did hear it, though. Like, you do hear what I'm talking about with how, like, with Pharrell Williams, like, I don't know, his enthusiasm seems to be a little bit low. And, like, you keep hearing that again and again. So that might be something that I feel like it's going to be hard to be engaged with it. You know, like, yeah, you're going to get those musical moments. You're going to get those amazing visuals. Like, that's going to, you know, that I have confidence that it will do pretty well. But when it comes to the acting and when it comes to Pharrell Williams trying to narrate his own story, it's just someone in the chat wall even mentions he sounds a little bit like Snoop Dogg. I mean, like, it's kind of funny considering that we did have like a little moment with like Pharrell and Snoop Dogg. It's like, you know, that like this moment right over here, like with this.
Smile. Hell yeah.
Or like,
But
yeah.
you brought out a smile. Hell yeah.
You know, it's just like a lot of it is just very monotone. And that's my problem with it, is that with Pharrell and especially with some of the other acting that we get to hear in this movie, it's just there's so much of it that just sounds like it is very monotone, it is very low, and maybe debatably it's just a little too chill. So that's honestly one of my concerns with this movie, is just how is the narration and how is the acting going to be? Because if it's going to be like that throughout the entire feature for like 90 or 100 minutes or something like that, then yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tough it's going to be a tough watch to go and sit through. Even if the animation can be fantastic and really stay true to the whole tone of being made of Legos, if the enthusiasm of the people who are voicing in this isn't there, then it's going to be hard to find that same kind of enthusiasm to be found within the audience. So that's why, for me, I feel like, I feel a bit hesitant, and I don't know if it's going to be something that would really work out with this movie. So overall, I know there's going to be like a lot of mixed feelings about this one, but honestly, I do see some things about it that are actually pretty promising. You know, it is a bit of a unique twist on the music artist biopic that we have been seeing again and again. And I will say that the animation definitely looks stunning, and I do love the way that it stays committed to that Lego movie look. But when it comes to the acting, I feel like that's going to be an aspect that would really make or break this feature, especially coming from Pharrell Williams. If he's not going to have much energy on this, if he's not going to have much enthusiasm that could transcend onto the microphone, or as much enthusiasm as he would put onto his music, then that might be something that could end up screwing this movie over. But ultimately, we shall wait and see when this movie does come out on October 11th in theaters. And so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the piece-by-piece trailer? Are you guys excited for this movie? Do you think this is going to be awesome? Or do you think this is going to be pretty crappy? Let me know what you think. In fact, I'm going to go into Twitch, and I will be asking you all by doing a little poll that would say here, will you be watching piece by piece? So, hold on a sec, let me just go and fix that. So that will be a yes, and then that will be a no. And so let's go into the chat wall while this poll shall go. Anyways, let's see what we got here. This honestly caught my interest. I could see how this could be a solid documentary and giving it a twist by having it be made of Legos. The visuals are really impressive, and the musical numbers could be fun. Although I agree that I am unsure about the voice acting, so this could go either way, so we'll see what happens. Alright, fair enough. Let's see. Ooh, this is from someone I don't think I've read a lot before. Alright, let's see here. To be honest, I think this movie has a lot of potential. Sure, its idea is kind of strange when you have a musical biography animated with Legos, but I have to say this movie is very unique compared to other biographies. The movie also has some fantastic animation, especially with the colors. I would have to agree, though, that I am scared for this film's voice acting, especially how we have seen it in the trailer, but overall, I feel like this has some potential. You know, you actually do bring up a very good argument. Like, the potential is undeniably there. Let's see what else we have here. I love that the first thing Universal does with the Lego IP is making a Pharrell Williams biopic. Still, this looks pretty fun. I'm a big Pharrell fan, so of course the music is great, and the animation is pretty solid. Also, it gives off the same vibe as the Lego universe scene in Across the Spider-Verse. It's gonna be a fun watch. But I gotta ask, will we be getting a Minion cameo? It's a Universal movie. Lego Minions exist. They got Happy in there. To quote Pharrell, just be open. Oh my god, you actually bring up a very good point, and that's one thing I would love to see. And as I mentioned before, Pharrell Williams played a big role in Illumination in general, supplying many of the popular songs that would come out of those movies, including Happy. So I am wondering if there is going to be at one point where suddenly we may have, like, we're suddenly going to have a moment where we will see some Lego Minions, or even maybe we will legitimately see a Lego Chris Meledandri. That could legitimately be a thing that could happen. So honestly, that's going to be one thing I'm going to be hyped up for. Will we legitimately see Lego Minions? And in fact, like, you go into Piece by Piece, and they are willing to do some movie references. Like, we did have, like, one quick little flashback just to go and double check. I want to see where it is, because there was a quick moment where suddenly, yeah, like right over here. Yeah, like suddenly we got this little Lego reference of the original Frankenstein movie. So if they would go and do references to other features and then turn them into Legos, then maybe we could see some Lego Illumination characters. That could legitimately be a thing. So honestly, that could be one thing that, for a stupid reason, I would be hyped up for this movie. I want to see if we would get either a Lego Minion or a Lego Chris Meledandri. So that I am hyped up. I'm just hyped up for. Okay, let's see now. I will admit that the trailer looks really neat. The animation is excellent at keeping the spirit of the past Lego movies of the 2010s. The story might be interestingly told in Lego form, and it's really shocking seeing celebrities as Lego figures like Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg. It may not be the best Lego movie, but I'm hoping it'll be as good as the ones with Emmett and Wildstyle when I got to see them this fall. Also, will we get a Lego Drake as a Duplo to fight against Kendrick Lamar? Oh my god, dude. Yo, that already right there is just a burn where you're already calling Drake a freaking Duplo. Like, you're just gonna have the regular Lego Kendrick Lamar, and then you're just gonna have Drake coming in as like a freaking Duplo block. Oh my god, dude. Already you're learning the savageness of Kendrick Lamar and trying to adopt that onto this. Holy crap. Yo, maybe that'll be for the sequel of what song is that? It's Meet the Something. Chatwall, if you could go and help me out on that. Like, I know the most savage song that Kendrick Lamar has done against Drake. It's called Meet the Something. I'm just forgetting on what that name is. If you could go and help me out on that, Chatwall, just like, it would be great. Let's see. Oh, Meet the Grams. Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, that, like, maybe you could go and add that to the sequel to Meet the Grams, where you would call Drake a freaking Duplo block. Okay. Anyways, going back into this. I am absolutely looking forward for Piece by Piece because of how it uses its ideas and how it is produced so far. This is coming from a guy who thought Pharrell Williams' music is pretty solid. I just love the idea that it uses Legos as its medium to tell his story. I mean, we got a Lego Snoop Dogg, that alone is amazing as well. I do think Pharrell Williams was being himself instead of acting. I also do think this documentary will definitely be unique on its own. Although, you do bring up a good point. Would this... Oh, excuse me, folks. But, that is actually a good point. Would this movie count as an animated documentary or an animated biopic? Because those are like two completely different things. And I mean, if it is a documentary, then maybe it could have something, but I don't know, at least from the impression that I am getting from this trailer, it looks like it could be more of a biopic, especially if we are getting some of the other musicians in here, like Snoop Dogg, like he would be acting in this instead of actually presenting this as like some kind of biopic. So, I don't know, I guess we will have to wait and see on that, but I could see how it would be more helpful as a documentary so that whatever acting is in here can feel more genuine. But if it's going to be like a biopic, then that's still going to be something that could feel iffy. But we will see. We will see. Let's see now. What other comments are there? Well, this looks like fun. I feel like it wasn't that long ago you talked about this. I feel like this could be a very interesting biopic / documentary movie. Quite frankly, I want this movie to succeed so that we can have more experimental genres in animation. I'm more forgiving on the voice acting here because, well, technically this is a documentary, and so this has interviews with real human beings talking about their real-world interactions and relationships with Pharrell Williams. I mean, again, we will see if this really is a documentary, but again, I've already talked about that, so we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, any other comments just to go and double check on this? This trailer looks all right, and it all depends on whether the movie drops it like it's hot or comes off as subpar. The animation looks nice, and the song from Pharrell Williams are memorable, but the acting and biopic formula are questionable, but I do hope it is good when it comes out. Also, Oppenheimer is also considered a biopic. While it definitely is not a musical, but it was a biopic about Oppenheimer, and it became successful. Also, I do wonder if this will be the only movie to be made by Universal. That we're gonna have to wait and see. And by the way, I might have unfortunately missed out on what's been said about the poll that I made on Twitch. For any of you who actually did see what the results were, can you go and remind me? Because last I checked, it seemed like most of you would be interested to go and check out. And apparently, okay, so you all have mentioned that apparently 88% of you have actually voted yes, you will be seeing the Pharrell Williams biopic or documentary, or you want to watch Piece by Piece. So already it's looking good. Or at least it's looking very positive for the prospects of this, where many people would be interested. But anyways, I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we move on to the next story and our next break. So let's see what we got here. Oh boy, this is gonna be an interesting take. This looks very underwhelming. I never gave a hoot about Pharrell. His music is pretty meh, and all the movies he has done done music are pretty bad, like the godforsaken Despicable Me movies and the god-awful Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the 2018 Grinch. He also can't act for crap, so I really don't expect much for this movie, but I don't know. Why am I saying that? At least the animation looks nice and looks better than the Lego Ninjago movie and that Clutch Powers movie no one remembers. The Clutch Powers movie, honestly, I don't actually remember that. But anyways, now that we have established all this, then apparently at least most of you actually seem pretty enthusiastic and actually do see a lot of the possibilities and all of the potential that this movie has in store. So if you are all excited to go and check out Piece by Piece, then keep in mind it will be coming out in theaters on October 11th. Sorry for that little screw up there. Okay, I managed to go and fix that up. But anyways, we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we will be giving a little bit of an update on what's been going on with the Skydance and Paramount deal. And while we have heard that, yes, they did agree upon a deal, nothing is official as of yet. But with this update in particular, oh boy, things are gonna get juicy. So, go and prepare your crumpets, because soon when we come back after this break, oh, it's gonna be some real tea time. All right, we are back. Now, for our next story, we have a significant update in regards to the Skydance-Paramount deal. Now, the last time I talked about it, it was at the moment when both Skydance and Paramount have actually agreed to go and make a deal. And I was thinking, okay, now that we have that announcement, I'm just going to go and sit and wait and see if there's going to be any details about it until they would sign on and make things official, and that soon we will see the merger between Skydance Media and Paramount Global. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting, but oddly enough, there hadn't been any updates since. There wasn't anything in which they would go and reveal the details of what they are going to do, what the plans are going to be, or if anything would actually be official, and what is it that the Paramount people would get in compensation to go and sell their company to David Ellison and Skydance. I was wondering what was happening. But then it was literally last night, or the night before I am recording this, in which I found this article right over here. To which it is called, "Why is Sherry Redstone So Upset?" Written by Kim Masters and Alex Weprin from The Hollywood Reporter. And this one right over here has actually revealed that what is currently going on with this deal, oh, it is messy. It is messier than you can ever imagine. In fact, even some of the previous acquisitions, or the major ones that we have seen before, with Disney and Fox and stuff like that, they are smooth sailing compared to what is currently going on right over here. Because the big thing about it is that the reason why, as I am recording this, nothing is truly official is mainly because the head of Paramount, Sherry Redstone, she is not happy with how things are currently going with this entire deal. And it's actually for several reasons. One of the reasons that this did bring up is actually because of the emotional aspect of it, where it's not going to be easy for her emotionally to go and sell off her company that her father built, and then ultimately give it up to someone else, where by doing so she would feel like she failed to live up to her father's legacy, and that is Summoner Redstone. So from there, she feels like she's gonna go and give a massive L, and she'll look back and she feels like she will be disappointing her father and that she couldn't live up to his legacy. So there is that emotional aspect of why this is actually very difficult. And then there is another reason, which probably the least surprising of them all, is actually in relation to money. And I'm just going to go and quickly read you here from my source on The Hollywood Reporter as to why is it, because you'll see it's a factor where there's a lot of people out there who are just not happy with how the money is being handled and who's going to be compensated and all that kind of stuff, where it states, as the process has ground on for more than a month since the Skydance side made its best and final offer, sources say Redstone has at the time been infuriated with Ellison, David Ellison, the head of Skydance, by the way. The reason for her anger is unclear. Some sources believe it was Skydance's refusal to indemnify her in the all but certain event of shareholder lawsuit if the deal were to go through. Initially, those suits seemed likely to come from non-voting Class B shareholders who were unhappy that the Skydance deal would have paid Redstone more handsomely than it paid them. Skydance then sweetened the offer for non-voting shareholders, which in turn reduced the purchase price for Redstone's national amusement from $2.5 billion to $2.25 billion. That could have been yet another reason for Redstone's anger. Perhaps it's a coincidence that that the Stephen Paul offer for a controlling interest in national amusements is right about that 2.5 billion mark. And so basically, to go and highlight this, of course, with money, it's just going to cause nothing but trouble. And it would either be like find a way in order to make those shareholders happy and to find a way to make Sherry Redstone happy. Because either way, it looks like it might lead down to a road where a possible lawsuit against Skydance could legitimately happen. So, of course, that is one major reason why there's been a lot of frustration with this deal. But then there is another possibility as to why she is actually upset with it, and that is actually in relation to one of Hollywood's favorite villains that people love to hate, David Zaslav of Warner Brothers Discovery. And the main reason why suddenly we would see David Zaslav come into play here is because he is interested in buying not Paramount, but Paramount's television networks, so that he could go and take things like CBS and would infuse that onto his own television network so that Warner Brothers can go and compete against the likes of NBC Universal and Disney onto the television market. However, again, Sherry Redstone would seriously be upset with it because one reason why she was happy with going, or why she wanted to go with Skydance, was because she was thinking that maybe with Skydance, they will go and keep Paramount intact. That they're going to buy it entirely and they'll keep it the same. You know, they're not going to go and change it entirely or just break it into pieces and sell it in parts. But with the possibility that David Zaslav might want to go and buy those TV networks, or maybe even do something with streaming. Okay, well, maybe he wouldn't do anything with streaming, but the word is that apparently David Ellison might not be interested in doing anything with streaming, even with Paramount. There is that possibility that maybe that promise might be broken and that maybe we will suddenly see the end of something like Paramount Plus, or that suddenly we would see something like CBS and all those TV networks that Paramount owned, and that they will go and be sold off to someone else instead of staying with Skydance. So that is another aspect why she is also upset with this deal and why things are becoming pretty complicated. But that's not the main thing that I want to talk about. That's not the big reason why I find this article to be so fascinating, to be so eye-opening regarding the situation that is currently happening with Skydance and Paramount. It is actually in relation to John Lasseter. And the reason why it may not be what you would initially think. And to go and clarify all this, allow me to go and read you the sections related to John Lasseter from my source on The Hollywood Reporter. As it states here, it would be right over here. Sources have noted that John Lasseter, the leader of the Skydance's animation unit that has been touted as a positive in a possible deal with Paramount, has been absent from work for several weeks. Skydance sources say Lasseter is merely working from home while recovering from a surgery, and that such information could only have come from enemies of a potential Ellison deal. So from there, the people at Skydance are pretty much saying that allegedly those allegations about John Lasseter, it's specifically coming from those that don't want the Skydance deal to actually happen. So maybe it's from some of those Paramount shareholders that are not a big fan of the Skydance deal. Maybe it's from Sony Pictures or Apollo Global that want to have Paramount in their own hands instead of Skydance. Maybe it could be any of those, but who the fridge knows? But hold on. there's actually more. There is a lot more to this story. It's right over here where it says, meanwhile, there are the questions swirling in the animation community about the absence of Lasseter, the former creative head of Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios. While Skydance Animation has been touted as an attractive element of a potential Skydance-Paramount hookup, though Paramount has its own animation division with IPs like SpongeBob SquarePants, but in reality, the picture has been complicated. Luck, Skydance Animation's first feature film under Lasseter, got middling reviews upon its release on Apple TV Plus in 2022, though it has performed steadily on the streaming service. The film has been started before Lasseter was hired, but was expensively reworked on once he arrived. Sources say the relationship between Skydance Animation and Apple blew up when the tech giant concluded that other planned projects were too costly and not strong enough creatively. One sticking point was a planned hand-drawn film, Ray Gun, from Incredibles director Brad Bird for a number exceeding $150 million. Now, this right over here, I gotta say, is a very interesting paragraph, especially right at the end. Revealing exactly why is it that Apple and Skydance Animation had to go and split ways. And I feel like a lot of my assumptions from before have been confirmed. It's not just mere small creative differences from one of the movies like Spellbound. It's much bigger than that. It's not just with creative differences, but it's also the fact that so far, the animated features that are being made at Skydance Animation are being way too expensive, but on top of that, apparently, creatively, the ideas that they're bringing up don't actually seem that good. You know, it's kind of like a massive irony where Skydance Animation seems to really want to be like Disney Animation, but so far the only thing that they are getting right that is similar to Disney Animation is that so far they're making their animated features way too expensive. And also, this is something that I feel like is very interesting to note. It's when they mention about that Ray Gun movie from Brad Bird. It's the fact that this article here used the word planned, where apparently it is a planned hand-drawn film. Why would they go and use the word planned? I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just looking way too deep into this, but I feel like if they're gonna say that this is a planned hand-drawn film, does that mean that those plans might have changed? Is it because, like, Ray Gun is now a CG movie, or did they end up canceling that feature and just spend $150 million or more and stuff like that? I don't know. I just feel like that word right there, planned, feels like it's a little bit too suspicious. Or maybe they're still gonna make it. Maybe that's still happening and Brad Bird is still making that Ray Gun movie. Who knows? But anyways, let's go back because there's a little bit more to go and discuss. Because it also states here, Skydance then shopped the animation deal to other studios, which have their own animation divisions, but none stepped up. In October of 2023, Skydance moved its animated feature slate to Netflix, meaning that none of Lasseter's films has a chance of getting a meaningful theatrical release. And notably, against that backdrop, Lasseter's health is key, as an informed source say a material change could upend Skydance's deal with the streamer. So this is kind of the big thing that honestly is a bit of an eye-opener for me, because what they are revealing here is that there is a possibility that with John Lasseter, his health is not going well. Or at the very least, if there's one thing that is seen to be pretty true, is that John Lasseter's health seems to be a concerning factor that's causing the Skydance and Paramount deal to be delayed. And maybe it's not one of the it's not a main reason, but it is definitely one of the significant reasons as to why. Now, I know that when it comes to Skydance Media, like one of the biggest things that they have been trying to do for years is to try to rebuild John Lasseter's image. As you guys know, back in 2018, John Lasseter was fired from Disney and Pixar, mainly because of what's been exposed about his history of his drunken misdemeanor and also with his sexual misconducts. And this is not even to mention how he would go and apply a toxic work environment within Pixar, and I think with Disney Animation as well. And ever since John Lasseter was brought into Skydance Animation, the company tried its best to go and avoid John Lasseter from being put onto the spotlight, to try to rebuild his image, to make sure people would go and forget the past controversies that John Lasseter has done in order to go and rebrand his image and to go and present their animated features in a way to bring, to put John Lasseter back as the beloved animation pioneer that has brought us movies like Toy Story and Cars and all that kind of stuff. To go and bring back that old image of John Lasseter. And even to this day, like, there was one little moment where they brought John Lasseter back in the spotlight to go and promote Luck, but ever since then, he has been avoiding the press and avoiding having his name be mentioned on social media or in articles or in anything like that. That's one thing I will say Skydance Media has been doing a great job, is to keep John Lasseter's image right now as a bit of a mystery. But right now, it looks like things are pretty dire, down to the point where now his health has been put into question. Because so far, the only things that we truly do know about what is happening with John Lasseter is that he has been missing in action for several weeks, and the animation community has no idea as to why or what's going on with John Lasseter, and that right now, or at least according to Skydance, is that he has been recovering from a surgery. And that, I honestly feel like, raises a lot more questions than it does answers. Like, why would John Lasseter need surgery? And how is John Lasseter's health right now? Like, is he still good to go and work on animated features? Can he still work? Or is his health easily recoverable where he could be back to normal and don't have to worry about that for several years? Or is it actually a concerning factor that he may not have long to live than we would ever expect? I don't know. I feel like, honestly, this brings up a massive factor and a massive mystery that, honestly, I feel like it needs to be answered, and that, honestly, we need to find out soon, because this is honestly a very concerning factor, and not just for the sake of John Lasseter's personal health, but also with the current deal that's going on with Paramount and the current deal that they have right now with Netflix. Because at least with executives, the image of John Lasseter is still appealing. It's still pretty good. That's why Netflix stepped in order to go and make that deal with John Lasseter, so that they could have John Lasseter on board with the Netflix team through Skydance Animation. And even with this Paramount deal, one of the appealing factors is that in order for Paramount Pictures to become a true competitor in the animation market, they would enlist the help of John Lasseter. And I know there is a bit of an irony where previously Skydance Animation was associated with Paramount Pictures, but then after John Lasseter got #MeToo'd, there was that indefinite split right there. But still, though, like, I know there is that irony, but still, with the current situation that Paramount is right now with their business entirely, and even with animation, it's just not been going well, down to the point where they're desperate for any kind of help, even if it would be from John Lasseter. But still, though, we need to know how John Lasseter is doing in terms of his health. And the thing is with Skydance Animation is that I know for a fact that they don't want to answer those questions. They would refuse to answer those questions, because if they are honest about the updates on what John Lasseter is doing right now, how he is feeling, and why he needed that surgery, then honestly, it could end up becoming a detriment. It could end up screwing them over where they would end up losing that deal entirely, where they would, they would break the trust of both Paramount and for Netflix as well. I just feel like it is such an insane update that honestly, I didn't know that John Lasseter is not, John Lasseter's health is becoming a bit of a problem. I didn't know that was a thing that is happening. And that is mainly because of how Skydance Animation is trying to keep John Lasseter under wraps as much as possible. And this is the kind of situation that they want to avoid. I'm sure because of this article right here, Skydance Media is freaking panicking, especially with the elements that has been revealed, like not just with John Lasseter's health, but also with some of the other things, like with the whole money situation of how would they go and distribute it to Sherry Redstone and with the shareholders, and also with the entire situation with David Zaslav and how Skydance might do a deal to go and sell some of to sell all the Paramount TV networks onto Warner Brothers. Like, I'm sure this thing is causing them a massive nightmare, but I feel like with John Lasseter, it really does end up bringing up more questions than it does with answers. And listen, right now, I will say, I am not a John Lasseter fan, and I don't think I'll ever forgive him with the way that he would treat animators, and especially with the way that he would treat women. And even though I want him out of the animation industry, I'm not saying I want him out of life as well. That would honestly be taking things too far. I'm in the position where I feel like it's in John Lasseter's best interest for him to go and retire. But I feel like, honestly, if things are as dire as they may possibly seem, then honestly, it's like more than ever, maybe John Lasseter should legitimately retire, not just because of his reputation has been tarnished, but also because of his own health. Maybe he shouldn't really be working, and instead, he needs to focus on his own self-care and just stop animation altogether. So honestly, I just feel like with this entire situation, like, I thought there would be a conclusion with this whole Skydance and Paramount deal, but oh no, that ended up opening another wild chapter with what's been going on. Like, holy crap. It's just, honestly, like, I was not expecting that I would read about John Lasseter and question his health. It's just so unexpected coming from an article like this. All right, so anyways, with that said, I think it's time that I'm going to go and pass this on to the chat wall, because I know that many of you have some thoughts about this, I don't know, if some of you may have some answers on what's happening with John Lasseter's situation, if you've heard anything from the animation community or from people in the animation industry, if they've said something in relation to John Lasseter, please, I would love to know, because there are now some important questions that need to be answered. All right, let's see what we got here. My God, this is so frustrating to hear. I thought the deal between Skydance and Paramount was about to come to an end, but nope, it got messier than I expected. From Redstone's frustration with the new deal to money issues to now more problems over at Skydance Animation, like costly making animated films like Ray Gun that could cost $150 million or more, and Lasseter's health being put in question. If none of these are solved or get some answers soon, then the deal will collapse between the two companies. This is bad. Exactly. Honestly, it's like, I think Skydance did a really good job putting on a mask, because behind that, oh boy, it really is a pretty bad mess right over there, especially with what's currently happening at Skydance Animation. Like, I know they're trying to build themselves up as the next great animation studio, getting a lot of Disney veterans, including just recently, they brought in Don Hall to go and work at the studio. But, oh boy, other than that, though, it's just, nope, it's still a bit of a mess. It's still not being handled well, especially when, who is supposed to be the leader of that studio, if we don't know in the future if he'll even be the leader anytime soon. So who knows? Anyways, let's see. Hearing John Lasseter under surgery is no laughing matter. It just sucks no matter who the person is. Sure, John wasn't a good person and he deserves to lose everything at Disney and Pixar, but I do hope he's doing okay at least. Oh, and I'm getting this out of the way. While I visited Disney Animation, John's office is completely gone. It was destroyed when the studio was refurbished and turned into more space for the animators, according to a friend of mine at the studio who showed me where it was. Oh, wow, seriously? So yeah, I think it is safe to say that no matter what with John Lasseter, he's never coming back to Disney. I think like once John Lasseter was out, they cut ties indefinitely. I wonder if they did the same thing at Pixar as well. Anyways, this potential Skydance-Paramount deal is going to be a big mess. And while I personally liked Luck, I have to admit, I still don't understand why John Lasseter is still working in Hollywood. Lasseter was the director of my favorite movies ever, Toy Story and Cars. While I condone his inappropriate behavior, I have to admit, I hope he does recover soon. And I don't wish him dead because he has a family who may still love him despite his behavior. Yeah, exactly. It's like what I said before. I mean, like, I'm not a fan of him working in animation, but I mean, you know, I still want him to live. I want him to have a happy retirement so that he could have his own life outside of animation. That's all I'm asking for. Oh, let's see. What else do we have here? This is something that's shocking. Ever since John Lasseter was put in charge of Skydance Animation, that has been nothing but a mistake and hurt the reputation of Skydance Animation. Honestly, at the point that of the Paramount Skydance deal, however, it really is so questionable what his current health is right now. And at this point, it really is putting this deal in question, as it could be concerning for the future of Paramount. As for Warner Brothers, one thing is that I don't want to see is Nickelodeon under Warner Brothers. Nah, I don't think so. Like, I think it is safe to say that with Nickelodeon, it will stay with Paramount no matter what. Like, even if the channel would go away, Nickelodeon would still be a Paramount thing. They're not going to give that up easily. All right, I think I'll read two more comments because I realize the time that we have here. Where else? Okay, I'll go and read here. While I didn't think the Paramount deal would be so emotional for a CEO, I shouldn't feel too bad since she's probably already rich. I don't like Lasseter, but for his own health and the health for the Paramount deal, he needs to retire. He's not doing well. The production of Luck was a mess that didn't really have a positive result. I remember an article from 2018 mentioned that he has a drinking problem and that only Steve Jobs could get him to listen. So yeah, Lasseter, retire, please, for your family. Exactly. Like now this is just bringing up more and more of a sedative to why John Lasseter should just retire and just leave the animation industry. Because if it's beneficial for his own health to stop working, then yeah, maybe that would be an important thing for him to actually go and consider. All right, let's see. One more comment to go and read here. I'll go with this one. This is something that is making a gigantic mess. Everything is going crazy, and now there's more of it. There are problems galore, whether it's making movies where even Disney would say it's too pricey. Zaslav is trying to make his own bid into this, and John Lasseter in traction. We have this crazy situation. And yeah, I may be still against mergers, but this is not what I was thinking when I first heard of this. Exactly, it's just going everywhere. Oh, actually, there is one more comment I want to read. This one looks actually interesting. John Lasseter, from Disney and Pixar legend to a victim of an unfortunate incident that he went through, to a man who tried to make a comeback, now all the way to a person who needs his health back. When I saw him give a tour of the Pixar studio on an early DVD release of Monsters, Inc., he looked like he loved his job and the people who were around him back then. That was the John Lasseter that I once knew about. This John Lasseter, not so much. Someone has to help him, but who? I mean, who the fridge knows at this point? But anyways, we are going to go on to our next break, and when we do come back, speaking of Pixar, we actually got an important update on one of their upcoming features. And I know that many people are not a fan of the existence of this movie or that this movie is going to be made, but then there's one update of it that might change your tune. So we'll stay tuned for that. All right, we are back. And for our next story that we have here, now originally I was going to go and talk about the third Angry Birds movie. Yes, it has been confirmed that Ravio, Sega, and Prime Focus are going to be making a third Angry Birds movie. Although, interestingly enough, Sony Pictures has yet to reveal if they are going to be involved with the project, especially when the animation studio has been switched from Sony Pictures Imageworks to DNEG Animation. So that studio is going from the Garfield movie to the Angry Birds Movie 3, along with confirming that Thorpe Van Orman, who directed the second film, is going to be the writer of the third, and that we are going to be getting Jason Sudeikis and Josh Gad reprising their roles as Red and Chuck respectively. But then there was another piece of news that actually did come out, and the more this is brought up, the more that this actually caught a lot of people's interest. And this was originally a prominent example of people rolling their eyes and just feeling way too tired of all these sequels coming up and taking franchises just to go and just put them out again and again and again unnecessarily. But then with this one in particular, there is one little update that they have done, and something that was able to turn some people's heads and maybe might get some interest onto this feature. And what I'm talking about specifically is Toy Story 5. Yes, we have already heard that Disney wants to go and make a fifth Toy Story film, and a lot of people got upset about it because, of course, they're thinking Disney is relying too much on sequels and that they're making more unnecessary Toy Story movies like a fifth Toy Story film. But just recently, it actually happened during a press screening of Inside Out 2, in which the creative head of Pixar, Pete Docter, actually revealed something very interesting in regards to Toy Story 5. Now, of course, the people at Pixar are excited about the feature that they are working on, but especially in regards to the director that they brought on board. And they actually got none other than Andrew Stanton to be the director of this feature. And just to go and give you a quick reminder, for those of you who don't know, Andrew Stanton is one of the original Pixar creators. In fact, I believe Andrew Stanton was one of the first people to be hired at Pixar alongside Pete Docter. And from there, not only was Andrew Stanton there to be a key player in making the original Toy Story, but then he would go on to become a legend in his own right, where he would also go and direct Finding Nemo and its sequel Finding Dory, and of course, WALL-E. And now it seems like Andrew Stanton will indeed be coming back to Pixar, where he's going to be working on Toy Story 5. And so far, that seems to be the only thing that we do know. I think there is a confirmation that Tim Allen is going to be coming back as Buzz Lightyear. We're not 100% sure on Tom Hanks if he'll be back as Woody again. I guess we will have to wait and see. But so far, that is the big update. Oh, and by the way, there is one more thing I would like to go and quickly mention, because this was something that was like huge and that it exploded last week. You may recall the article that I talked about from Bloomberg that talked about how Inside Out 2 is a big movie that Pixar is really anticipating for, in the hopes that maybe it will become a box office success, and to go and really see if people are interested in watching Pixar movies again. So there's a lot of high risk going on with Inside Out 2. But a lot of people have highlighted the specific part where they would go and mention about, oh, they're going to be dropping the semi-autobiographical features in favor of making movies that would have clear mass appeal. And a lot of people have read that in a way that is more negative, and people felt like Pixar is now just going to go and make some generic and bland movies that would try to please everybody, but will end up pleasing no one and may cause more sequels and follow-ups to occur and less original pictures. And this ended up causing a lot of controversy and a lot of backlash towards Pixar. And I saw this, and I've seen a lot of comments going in expressing their anger about this entire situation, and even people asking me like, oh, when you review Inside Out 2, are you going to bring this up? Because I saw Shafrilla's talking about it and it made me so mad. But on that same press screening of Inside Out 2, Pete Docter actually did make a clarification, and there is a video where they would go and reveal what Pete Docter said. It's actually this little clip here on Facebook. So let's go and listen to what Pete Docter has to say, and then you can go and come up with your own conclusions. So let's have a listen. Oops. You know what would also be important? Sound. Let's actually hear what Pete Docter has to say. All right, there we go.
Being less autobiographical, and I think that's maybe a little bit mismangled in the article. It was really just that we want to make sure that our movies are universal, and in most cases, the way we find things to be universal is to be very specific, which is kind of counterintuitive. You'd think if I make this character broad enough and maybe bland enough, everyone will find their own way in. And it's really the opposite. The more specific I can make this character with more details, people seem to connect more. I think what I was wanting to make sure, though, with our movies is that we do find that universal within it. There are some things that happen to you that only happen to you, and when you tell the story, other people go, But there are other things that happen to you, and you tell the story, and people go, oh yeah, it totally happened to me. Those are the kind of things that we're looking for, that we make sure that what we're doing is both specific, but in so being very universal.
All right. So that's Pete Docter's clarification on what he meant about Pixar movies with clear mass appeal. And hopefully that will go and answer that question right there. So we'll see. Yeah, yeah, and I even see on the chat wall, on the chat wall, yeah, like I've already mentioned that a lot of like the frustration and the backlash that Pixar got is in relation to what Shafrilla's interpreted. So from there, that's what Pete Docter had to go and comment and say about it in regards to it. And I'm glad that he did go and make a bit of a clarification. And that honestly, that does make a little bit more sense than like the vague little thing that they would go and bring up on the Bloomberg article. So at least like that question can be answered right there. And maybe Shafrilla's can make an update on that video, so that like that he could go and help spread like what Pete Docter just said right over here, considering that a lot of people rely purely on just YouTube, like with either Valsky Bum or Shafrilla's, in order to go and get their animation news, so that hopefully maybe he can do his job to go and help clarify things up, and to go and deliver onto the facts instead of like just like what would be kind of an interpretation, like, I think this is what he's trying to say. Hopefully he'll go and do that soon. But anyways, that's not what we're here to go and talk about. Mainly, it's the fact that with Toy Story 5, they're going to go and bring in Andrew Stanton to be the director. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I feel like this is a message that they would go out and say that Disney and Pixar is very well aware that a fifth Toy Story movie is unnecessary. They know that there is no need for a Toy Story 5. But since they are going to make a Toy Story 5, they're going to try their best to justify its existence. It is going to be a very serious challenge, but they're going to go and do everything they can in order to go and get this right and to make it as impactful as the previous Toy Story features. Because I just want to go and say, because this is kind of like a very similar situation with what we have seen with Toy Story 4. Now, I'm just going to go out and say that I know that with Toy Story 4, it's gotten a lot of mixed reception, and that there are some people who do love it and some people who do hate it. And a big part of it is in relation to, is the movie considered necessary? And a big part to why people have disliked Toy Story 4 is just the mere existence of a Toy Story 4. Technically, we never needed a Toy Story 4 because Toy Story 3 ended off on such a perfect note for the whole franchise. And I just want to go and say this right now. Yes, I do agree Toy Story 4 is unnecessary. But I personally love Toy Story 4. I personally think that it is as good as the other Toy Story films. In fact, I feel like the unnecessariness of Toy Story 4 is a factor that I feel like should actually be admired. I mean, you got a movie that technically it shouldn't exist, and yet it does, and it comes out amazingly. The quality on this is just so stunning, and even the storytelling is fantastic. And that, for me, I feel like is a massive achievement where Toy Story 4 managed to justify its existence on why it needs to go and exist and why it should be a part of the Toy Story franchise. I personally believe that it did a fantastic job on that. I know not everyone is going to agree with it, but personally, I love Toy Story 4, and for me, it's hard to really say, like, oh, what would be my favorite Toy Story films? I mean, they're all phenomenal. They're all amazing. And yes, I'll even throw in the fourth movie. Like, the only one that I consider to be, like, the weakest of the Toy Story films is technically, well, there is Lightyear, but then especially you got the pilot movie of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Not to say that I don't like Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, the series, but it's just the pilot movie. Hot take. Even Lightyear is better than that one. But anyways, this is all to go and say that, yes, we are at the point where more Toy Story films are coming out, the more unnecessary that they have become. But now, Pixar is still very serious to trying to make sure that it comes out the best that it can be. And the fact that they are bringing out Andrew Stanton, that they're bringing him back in order to go and direct this feature, perfect. Honestly, there could not be a better person that they could go and find in order to go and make that feature. Now, some people could debatably say that, oh, maybe there is like maybe bring back Lee Unkrich, or maybe bring a few of the other like Pixar veterans to go and work on this. But when it comes to Andrew Stanton, I mean, like, we're talking about a guy who's been with Pixar since the very beginning and already has a lot of experience directing Pixar films and making amazing Pixar films, especially with Finding Nemo and with WALL-E, another one of my personal favorite Pixar films out there, and one of my favorite romance films in general. So bringing him on board to go and actually work on a Toy Story 5, like, that is honestly something I feel like, okay, I trust this guy. He knows everything, he knows the Toy Story world. He was actually there since the very beginning, and maybe he could go and find a way to go and add his inclusion to the Toy Story universe that can actually be as good as the other Toy Story films. It's a very high bar, but this really does show that Pixar is serious in terms of trying to make their movies the best that they can be, even when they are as unnecessary as a Toy Story 5. I mean, a lot of it is still a massive wait and see to go and check if maybe we could, maybe this could actually turn out well, or maybe this could turn out to be crap. Who the fridge knows? But at least with Andrew Stanton being on board, I think that is actually a good way to know that things might pick up. Maybe there is a chance that this could legitimately be a worthwhile picture. And honestly, like, yeah, I know with Toy Story 4, like, that was unnecessary, but it came out freaking amazing. So maybe with Toy Story 5, they could pull that off again. I don't know. Who knows? But we'll wait and see. But at least there is some dedication that we are seeing from Pixar. So at least things now can actually get better. And for those of you who are anticipated or are curious to go and see what's going to be going on with Toy Story 5, then keep in mind that it will be coming out in theaters on July 19th? No. Okay, there was a little, I noticed there was a little bit of a mistake in the Collider article. Like, it says here July 19th, but it actually makes more sense that it would come out on June 19th, 2026. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think of Andrew Stanton directing Toy Story 5? Do you think that's going to be something that will help save the movie, or do you think the unnecessariness is just going to make it bad all around? I would like to know what you think. And also, you know what? Let me go and do a poll on... let me just do this quick little poll on Twitch where I'm going to ask you all, will Andrew Stanton make Toy Story 5 good? So I'll go and ask that. So I'll do a yes, and then I'll do a no, and then we'll see what the poll says. All right, so let's see what the chat wall has to say. Bringing Andrew Stanton as the director of Toy Story 5 is a pretty inspired decision, as his films have a lot of energy and childlike wonders, from Finding Nemo to WALL-E to Finding Dory. Also, this means that, assuming that this news is indeed real, Toy Story 5 might be the first film in the series to legit have a happy ending after two films with bittersweet endings, considering that Stanton's animated films have always had happy endings. I mean, that could be a possibility as well. I mean, you never know if with Andrew Stanton, if he'll decide to go and make a bit of an unexpected turn. But hey, we'll see, man. We'll see. But then again, those bittersweet endings from both Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, oh my god, they are so impactful. They're like some of the greatest endings I've ever seen in movies in general. Let's see what else we got here. Andrew Stanton directing another Pixar movie is definitely worth being excited for. But Toy Story 5, I am absolutely, seriously excited for as well. I mean, he's Andrew Stanton. He can do no wrong when he makes a Pixar movie. I honestly do hope it's just as fantastic as the previous films he directed. I do have strong hopes. I too also love Toy Story 4 as well. It's funny, well animated, and emotional. But yeah, I have faith in Andrew Stanton. He put a Pixar movie in the Criterion Collection. Oh, that is actually true, considering that Andrew Stanton did demand to have WALL-E put onto the Criterion Collection. You know, like, at least he did help remind Criterion that, hey, you know what should be in the Criterion Collection? More animated films. Do something about it. No joke. Not too long ago, I actually, when there was a flash sale for the Criterion Collection, I actually did buy, like, a whole bunch. And, of course, I went and get the, WALL-E Blu-ray, or at least, I got the, I got WALL-E from Criterion, and I got Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, as well as the Giant Godzilla collection. I gotta have that. You know? Okay. Anyways, let's see what else we got here. What other comments? I don't know what to feel about Toy Story 5. It's interesting to see Andrew Stanton going to direct Toy Story 5 and knows what to do with the Toy Story universe. I'm just worried that Toy Story will not end up like the Fast and Furious franchise with more sequels. By the way, what do you think of One Lost series from Skydance Animation coming June 28th on Apple TV+? Yeah, honestly, I just don't freaking care. I mean, it's another Skydance John Lasseter thing, so I just didn't bother. I haven't watched the trailer. I'm not interested in watching the show, so yeah, just gonna put that out there. Anyways, let's see. I don't know if to... by the way, just a quick side note that according to the poll, it's almost unanimous that you believe that Andrew Stanton will help make Toy Story 5 actually good. With the exception of 2 votes, most of you actually said yes, with 92% having confidence that Andrew Stanton will help make Toy Story 5 be a good movie. But anyways, going back to the comments here, I don't know if Toy Story 5 will be any good, but with Andrew Stanton reportedly taking the helm, I trust this person for the job. I am a fan of his animated films. This would make sense because he co-wrote all the main films in the series. Have you heard about his upcoming live-action film in the blink of an eye? I heard it recently wrapped up filming. Honestly, I have not. But I will be keeping an eye on it. I will be curious to see what Andrew Stanton has in store with that one. Let's see. I will admit that I definitely thought Toy Story 5 was unnecessary, but with Andrew Stanton coming in to direct it, this really has potential, especially since this is the man who has been at Pixar since the very beginning, so I think they could have something great come out of this and prove people wrong. So overall, we'll see. Hopefully, we will get some kind of update at D23. Oh, for sure. Like, if there's any more info that we will know, it will indeed be at this year's D23, which I think it's going to be like in August or September, so it's got to be like in a few months, so we will know soon. Let's see, what are the comments that we have? Let's see now. Honestly, I really wish that we get more OG people back, like, not just, understanding, but why don't we get Brad Bird or even people that, let's not jump to conclusions and say that we need John Lasseter back, but we really need some people back. The only one I am confident that will never come back is Lee Unkrich. Like, the man pulled a phenomenal job on Coco, and I wish him the best as he is. But with Andrew, welcome home, buddy, welcome. Well, I mean, there are some people like, yeah, like, it would be nice to see some of the OG people return, like, like the main Pixar people, but I mean, they have moved on and have been doing different stuff. Like, Brad Bird has moved on to Skydance Animation. Pete Docter, like, right now, he is the chief creative officer at Pixar, so he has a lot more responsibilities to do, where it's going to be hard for him to find, like, any way so that he could get back into directing. And some of the others, well, I mean, John Lasseter, I mean, no, we're not bringing him back. And just like one of the commenters say, Disney does not want him back. And we do have Andrew Stanton back. But I mean, like, it would be nice for them to return, but, life goes on. Anyways, let's see here. I think people who are only in animation space kind of forgot that Stanton has made mixed products, like 2 episodes of Stranger Things Season 2, John Carter, and Better Call Saul. It might not turn out well. I have faith in the guy, but still. I mean, yeah, that is true. Like, and I mean, like, it goes with everyone. Like, even with Brad Bird. Like, Brad Bird has done some phenomenal stuff with films like The Incredibles and Ratatouille, but then there are some times when he is, like, not in his prime, like the Tomorrowland movie. I mean, it was it was still all right of a feature, but definitely pales in comparison, even when compared to Incredibles 2. So yeah, I know with Andrew Stanton, like, not everything that he has made is gold, but at least with Pixar, with the stuff that he has done, like with Finding Nemo, WALL-E, and I'd even throw in Finding Dory, they've been very solid. Like, it's a very good track record. So in that regards, I do have some great faith in him with directing Toy Story 3. And I mean, let's be honest, who else would be perfect for the job? Excuse me, folks. I think I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next break here. Let's see. I will say I want to be excited for Toy Story 5. Even as someone who will constantly defend the 4th movie, I'm struggling to figure out how it will work. But on the other hand, I am keeping an open mind in a sense that Toy Story is pretty much my favorite animated franchise. Andrew Stanton has done good work, so maybe Pixar is going to give it their all, but only time will tell. I mean, of course, we will have to wait and see on that. I don't know how they're going to go and make a Toy Story 4, but we shall see when the movie shall be coming out on June 19th, 2026. All right, so now that we are done with that, we will go into one more break, and when we do return, we will go and discuss about the biggest animation news that we have this year. And by big, I mean in quantity, because oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about of what's going to be coming not just this year, but also for next year in this one particular streaming platform. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time that we shall go and cap off this episode with the grand finale. And oh boy, what a grand finale have I got for you. And instead of giving you an introduction, allow me to go and show you what I have in store for this finale. Because yes, we will indeed be talking about Netflix. And what is it that Netflix will have in store for this year and next year for their animated features? So before we begin and take a look into each of those individual projects, let's take a look at this little clip right over here. And that is what's coming up on Netflix animation. So basically the whole thing is to go and say that a few days ago, Netflix had a very special presentation called Next on Netflix. And this time around, they presented all their big lineups of what they have in store with their animated shows and animated movies that will be coming soon, not just for the rest of this year, but also that's going to be coming in 2025 as well. Think about the Summer Game Fest that we had during this weekend, but specifically for animated projects. And on this article here from Animation Magazine, they actually did a good job chronicling just about every single one that has been revealed. So I'm going to go through it one by one, do like a little bit of a lightning round of my thoughts, and also talking about what is it that they have discussed and what has been revealed throughout this whole presentation. So first and foremost, let's go into the big announcements on the projects as well, on the projects itself that have been announced. And we're going to go and talk about Sony Pictures Animation. Now, you may remember last week, I discussed about how Sony Animation has been very silent about the projects that they have in store. But as it turns out, Sony actually has a lot of things going on that they are going to go and create specifically for Netflix for next year, by the way. And the first major one is regarding the K-pop Demon Hunters movie. Now, we have heard about this a while back, but now they have given us our first taste, like a little bit of a clip and even a few images of what is in store for this movie. And I'm not gonna lie, so far it looks very interesting. Pretty similar to what they have done before with Spider-Verse, but something that might actually look very promising and pretty action-packed as well. So that's going to be something that will be coming out in 2025. And then the next one, though, oh boy, I don't know how many people are just waiting for my reaction for this. So I guess the moment you've all been waiting for is right here. Yes, folks, we are getting not Hotel Transylvania, but Motel Transylvania, in which Sony has revealed that they are going to be working on a new Hotel Transylvania series called Motel Transylvania, where Drac and Mavis are now going to move to California, where they open a motel for humans and monsters. And, oh boy, well, if you guys know me, you know that I am not a fan of the Hotel Transylvania films whatsoever. And some people would go and argue that maybe Sony Animation is beating a dead horse here. But honestly, I personally disagree. Because, let's be real, when it comes to Hotel Transylvania, that horse died over a decade ago. This horse right over here has now rendered into an absolute skeleton. And what Sony Animation is doing is picking up some of those bones and they're just beating it like it's a godforsaken drum. Just aggressively playing the xylophone on the ribs of that godforsaken horse. And honestly, my first reaction when I saw this, I was like that crying kid from The Simpsons. You know, I'm just looking at it going like, stop it, it's already dead. I mean, what the fringe else can you do with Hotel Transylvania? You promised that the franchise would be over after the disaster of Transformania. And now you still gotta go and make more of that? You still gotta go and say like, no, it's still good, it's still alive, we can still make more out of it? Come on, Sony. Let that thing go. Move on, Sony. I mean, you already got some interesting stuff like the K-pop Demon Hunters movie. You don't need to be dependent on Hotel Transylvania, all right? Move on. Make new stuff. But anyways, let's go on to the next project that has been revealed. Now, we know that later this summer, we are going to be getting the Sandy Cheeks movie, but apparently in 2025, we are also getting a Plankton movie, in which not only is the original cast going to be coming back, of course, as you see here, we know that we got Plankton, Karen, SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward coming back into this movie, but also, apparently, this is going to be a story that will be written by Mr. Lawrence, the voice of Plankton. So that's going to be interesting to see how he's going to go and handle a movie that features his character. And I know he has definitely written a lot of episodes before, but this is going to be his own feature film that he is starring in. All right, so anyways, now we also got our first looks, in which they include the anime series Leviathan, which that's going to be coming out next year. And then afterwards, we got our first look here at Poku, which is from Skydance Animation, and it will be directed by one of the Tangled directors, Nathan Greno, in which it says here, Poku is a buddy comedy about a small woodland creature and a majestic bird, two natural sworn enemies of the valley that must set off on an adventure of a lifetime. So that's going to be one thing that will be coming soon onto Netflix. Or will it, though? Considering what we've just read about John Lasseter's questionable health and the current status of the Skydance and Paramount deal, I mean, who knows if this will be released on Netflix, or what that deal is going to entail. Like, I don't know, like that whole thing is a mystery right over there. So who knows if this is even going to be coming out on Netflix. But anyways, going back into this, we also got another anime series that's going to be coming soon, which will be Tokyo Overdrive, which will come out later this year. And then we got an anticipated series called Twilight of the Gods, which not only has an all-star cast, but this is actually going to be brought to us by Zack Snyder. And I'm not gonna lie, so far the visuals, they actually do seem very impressive. And they look like they have a strong inspiration of Cartoon Saloon. Like, they remind me a lot of films such as Secret of Kells or Wolfwalkers or even Song of the Sea. It has kind of that vibe into it. And so far, it definitely does look impressive. I will give it that. In which that series is going to be coming out later this fall. And then we got an update regarding the next Wallace and Gromit movie, Wallace and Gromit, in which it has the title Vengeance Most Fowl. And the big thing that they have revealed about this is that we will be seeing the comeback of one of the most notorious villains in stop-motion animation, Feathers McGraw, the evil penguin from The Wrong Trousers. Apparently, he's going to be coming back. And of course, in the tradition of Wallace and Gromit projects, it will first be released on the BBC during the holiday season this year, and then afterwards, it will be coming out on Netflix. Now, they say it's going to be a winter 2024 release, but if that means we're going to get this at the end of the year or maybe at the start of 2025, we shall wait and see. And then, following afterwards, we got another series, which is called Wolf King, which will be based on the books called Werewolf by Curtis Jobling. That's going to be coming out in 2025. And then afterwards, we got some new info in regards to the Studio Ponoc movie, The Imaginary, in which not only did they confirm an English dub cast that features Louis Rudge Buchanan, Evie Kizel, Haley Atwell, Sky Katz, by the way, I am sorry if I mispronounce any of these names, Jeremy Swift, Cal Penn, LeVar Burton, Jane Singer, Ruby Barnhill, Roger Craig Smith, Courtney Taylor, and Miles Knibb, but also, this will actually be released pretty soon on Netflix on July 5th. And then afterwards, we got another Netflix animated movie, which is going to be In Your Dreams, which is promised to come out in 2025. And on top of that, they have also revealed that we also got Simu Liu and Craig Robinson among the cast. Then following afterwards, we got another series, which is called Gentry Chow versus the Underworld, which that is going to be coming out in 2024. Then afterwards, we got two new Sailor Moon movies, which is going to be considered the finale of the current Sailor Moon arc, in which this one shall be called Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Cosmos the Movie, Part 1 and Part 2, to which those movies are going to be coming out on August 22nd. Then following afterwards, they showed some new images in relation to Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, in case anybody has not seen the leaked feature that came out earlier this year. And that's honestly one question that I have. Is this movie going to be the exact same as what we got from the leaked footage that we received earlier this year? So I guess we shall wait and see on that. And then afterwards, we got an update regarding the next Skydance animation movie, Spellbound, which they revealed is going to be coming out on November 22nd of this year. And this, I gotta say, is honestly very interesting and a very bold move from Skydance and Netflix, where they decided to release this very close to Moana 2. And this honestly tells me one of three things. It's one, Netflix is very confident in Spellbound. They think it is so good that it would actually be capable of competing against Moana in order to get audiences' attention. Either two, they're just trying to ride off of the success of Moana 2, that hopefully people will think, well, if people like Moana 2, they'll surely love Spellbound as well. Or three, this movie is so hopeless that Netflix is just hoping that maybe Moana 2 will just completely overshadow Spellbound and people will just focus on that movie in particular, rather it be for better or for worse. And that people will just forget about Spellbound because apparently the movie might be so bad that people are just gonna burn this thing entirely. I feel like it could be one of those three possible options, but I guess we will have to wait and see when this does come out. And considering what Apple has actually revealed, saying that they broke up with Skydance Animation because of the way that their movies are just way too over budget and the quality of the creativity of their feature films are just not good, that's not really a positive sign with what we got here with Spellbound. So I guess we will have to go and wait and see. And yes, it is true that Alan Menken is actually attached to this movie to go and create new songs along with Glenn Slater, but again, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this movie could actually turn out to be fantastic, but we will have to wait and see when it comes out on November 22nd. And then they have also talked about That Christmas from the same studio that brought us Ron's Gone Wrong, in which that's going to be coming out, of course, during the holiday season on December of this year. And then following afterwards, we got the Twits, based on the beloved Roald Dahl novel, in which that is going to be coming out later next year in 2025. But we do have a little bit of a taste of some of the characters that are featured, as well as a little bit of a voice cast as well, which will feature people like Margot Martindale, Johnny Vegas, Natalie Portman, and Emilia Clarke. Then they also talked a little bit about Ultraman Rising, which is going to be coming out this Friday. And then finally, a few little extras, including a special of Cocomelon Lane, which is coming out on August 19th, Exploding Kittens, which that's going to be coming out on July 12th, a second season of Jurassic World Chaos Theory, a little bit of an update on the anime Terminator series called Terminator Zero, and of course, we got a little bit of a taste of the Lara Croft series that's coming out on Netflix, as well, of course, the big grand finale of it all. Not to mention that, yes, they did talk about or showed a bit of clips of the final season of Big Mouth, and as well, showing us a little bit of the upcoming second season of Arcane, which, a quick side note, by the way, I just want to go and quickly mention that just recently, G-Kids actually announced that they are going to go and release the first season of Arcane on home media. So they're planning a 4K release and possibly a Blu-ray release as well. Oh, and there is actually one more thing I almost forgot. Speaking of Sony Animation, while it wasn't revealed by Netflix, Sony actually revealed independently that they are also making an animated Ghostbusters series for Netflix that will also be coming out in 2025. Now, if I will go and point to the projects that I'm personally the most anticipated for, now, I will say, a lot of them, they look very exciting and they show a lot of potential and a lot of promise. But I would say the two I am the most excited for are Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl, because I am a big Wallace and Gromit fan, and seeing the comeback of Feathers McGraw, hopefully that could turn out great, or at the very least, it will turn out to be much better than what we got with the second Chicken Run movie. And also, K-pop Demon Hunters. That movie so far, it looks interesting, and I think that could be like another big hit for Netflix and Sony Animation, you know, kind of like similar to what we have recently gotten with The Mitchells vs. the Machines. So, honestly, I'm excited for both of those. All right, so with that said, now that I've expressed what I'm the most excited about, I want to know from you all. I want to see in the chat wall, what do you all think about the announcements from Netflix Animation? And which projects are you the most excited about? Let me know what you think. All right, so there are definitely some great announcements. For me, I am definitely the most excited for Arcane Season 2. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Arcane Season 2 as well. I think that's a given. Let's see, what else? Excuse me, people. And Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl. However, with the Plankton movie, now it just feels like Nickelodeon is just milking SpongeBob for all it's worth, to the point where people will get sick and tired of it. And considering the negative reception of the Sandy Cheeks movie back when it got leaked, I'm really not looking forward to this. Fair enough, dude. Let's see now. There are so many projects that were announced by Netflix, so I'll just say what I'm excited about the most. The ones I am excited about are Arcane Season 2, K-pop Demon Hunters, Wallace and Gromit, Terminator Zero, and Tomb Raider, mainly for Haley Atwell. Curious to see the Twits, That Christmas, and Twilight of the Gods, but the rest, like Sandy Cheeks, Plankton, Motel Transylvania, and Skydance's animated films, I couldn't care less, especially with Skydance. Hey, fair enough, dude. Let's see now. At least we know that Sony Pictures Animation's K-pop Demon Hunters is going to be made. Personally, though, most of the projects don't exactly interest me. Spellbound in particular is from Skydance Animation, so that's already not the best sign. One thing that makes me curious, though, is the budget of Ultraman Rising. Keep in mind the film is being animated by, of all things, Industrial Lights and Magic. Well, I mean, considering that this is a direct-to-streaming movie, I don't know if budget would actually be something that would really matter. So, like, I mean, it's not something that we would have to go and examine and see how it would work out at the box office. So, ultimately, I'm just waiting to see how the movie is going to be and if it is good in the first place. Which, so far I've been seeing from early reviews, like, so far people have been saying that it's actually pretty good. Maybe not great, but so far they're saying that it is a worthwhile feature. Let's see now, what else do we have here? I think I've read this one, oh, okay. The Netflix series that I'm interested in is Gentry Chow versus the Underworld, since I think it has potential with the concept of a teenager having supernatural powers trying to survive high school, and it's from Titmouse. But overall, this Netflix lineup looks interesting, and I think there's a lot of potential. All right. Let's see now. This looks promising. I am excited for K-pop Demon Hunters, and it's going to be interesting to see those idols going on a musical adventure and punch those fanboys in Spider-Verse or anime style. Twilight of the Gods, well, it's Zack Snyder, and I don't want to see more slow motion stuff with the man screaming like ah. But hey, the animation visuals look pretty good. The preview trailer for Netflix animation is great. Except Big Mouth, that ruined my day. Well, I mean, that's not my fault. That's just Netflix. Go blame them. Let's see what else we got here. What other comments? Well, this is a lot to go through, but I'll say only my interests. Wallace and Gromit coming back, I couldn't be any more excited. In fact, Chicken Run foreshadowed this. The SpongeBob movies, Sandy, it's fine. Not great, but better than the recent episodes, and I will not say it's terrible. Bad graphics, maybe, but not terrible. And Plankton is making his own Cruella movie, and just by that, a decent idea. And probably K-pop, the animation is amazing. I'll wait and see for that one. All right. Any other comments? I think we'll just have one more, and then we could cap this off here. Oh, there we go. There are so many announcements coming from Netflix. One of the most excited projects I'm anticipating is Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Fowl. I'm very surprised that the evil penguin is coming back. And as for Motel Transylvania, I gotta say is, Sony, why can't you just leave the franchise? It's already done after the atrocious fourth film. Be happy that Johnny is not in it. To quote Dracula, "Ha ha, Jonathan, you're not part of the Motel for Monsters." Oh yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. If Motel Transylvania does not have Johnny in it whatsoever, if they're like retconning Johnny, then maybe I might have a bit of interest to see what they have in store. Not entirely, but it might have my attention. And with that said, that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. What a wild adventure that we just went through, and I want to thank you all for joining me on this, and maybe for next time, we will go into more crazy animation news that will come in stores. And especially for next time, it's going to be a big milestone for this podcast, so you won't want to go and miss out on that. And by the way, if you guys enjoy your time on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to my Twitch channel, AniMat Live, and the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. And on top of that, don't forget to also go and follow me on whatever podcast whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Spotify, Google, or iTunes. And with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.